On today's episode of Titus and Tate, I have some very sad news for the friends of the program. It's devastating news. It is going to shake you to your core. We are talking about Kentucky again.
Oh, yes.
I promised we wouldn't.
A friend of the program reached out to me and said, I just want to say thank you so much for not talking about Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like prayer hands emoji.
Yeah.
Please keep it up. It was one
I don't
episode.
want to. I really don't.
I don't either.
You don't understand how much it hurts me to do this, but we have jobs to do, Tate.
Yeah.
It's very important. We have essential jobs, I might say. And one of those, a part of having an essential job is keeping our finger on the pulse of what's going on. And maybe we could talk about this when we get into the discussion, but I don't know if it's a coincidence at this point that Mr. K is out of the picture.
Yes.
Jay Wright, the man, like the only guy that's won multiple national titles in the last however many years, he's out of the picture now. There's a content vacuum.
There's a void.
And John Calipari has just stepped into the void, has sucked all of our attention.
Yes.
Yeah, and like you and I see through it. Like we know who this man is. We know how it works. We know the game. And yet here we are back in these seats, back in front of these microphones, talking about John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats. I hate this, but I can't stop.
How did we get here? It's our own fault. But this morning, I'm going to confess to you, I rewatched the Bahamas-Kentucky game.
Oh, you did?
On the SEC Network. I
you
rewatched
grinded the
it.
tape?
I saw it twice, so I have lots of thoughts. And CJ Frederick, great on the mic. We got to have him on the show.
Okay.
He called the game. I don't know if you saw that. He came in and called a little bit of the game.
I did not watch the game because I followed the score. So what happened was I
it was a good showing for the Bahamas. I'm not going to lie. They looked good early.
What's funny is I texted you. Like that's why Tate's laughing so hard is because as the game was going on, I took a picture of my TV and I sent the text where Kentucky was up by like 4 and sent you eye emojis. And then I didn't watch. I was just monitoring the score. So I flipped it over real quick. I watched like 30 seconds, and I was like, I'm out. I don't want to watch this. I'll check back in if they lose. That was my plan.
We'll talk about it more, but spoiler alert: Cal's not even coaching these games.
Cal's not coaching the games, and it's also not the Bahamas we want to talk about. We have to talk about the story that's kind of shaken all of the college sports landscape right now, and the John Calipari versus Mark Stoops feud, and is Kentucky a basketball or football school? So we're going to suss that out.
An age-old question that we love to answer on this show.
We are tailor-made for this. We are tailor-made to answer the question. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Also, the Bronny James Sweepstakes are on, Tate.
Yes.
Big Ten Bronny is what they're calling them.
Is college basketball alive again?
Yeah.
That's what people are asking because LeBron James and Nike and Bronny James says yes.
LeBron James' son, who's also named LeBron James.
Not anymore. Bronny.
Oh, it is Bronny.
He's legally Bronny. That has been confirmed to me that he changed his name to Bronny legally.
Does he hate his dad? Is that it?
Some people think he's a Westbrook fan.
Oh, my God.
He wanted to change his name to Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook Jr. Anyway, Bronny James, there's a report out there from Paul Biancardi that Bronny James is actually taking college basketball very seriously. He's a very real prospect. There's a lot of smoke coming out of Big Ten country, Tate. His choices apparently are USC, UCLA, 2 Big Ten schools. We know that. Ohio State, Michigan, and then Oregon. Those are the 5 schools I were throwing out, and others.
And others.
And others.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit. What does it mean? Is he actually going to go to college? I'm a little close to this in the sense that I'm a Buckeye myself. So like I need you to talk me through. Like, do I want to win the Bronny James Sweepstakes? Do I not? I don't know. I don't know how to feel.
In a word, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's win it. We're gonna talk about that. That's a lot, dude. Honestly, that's a full show, and I'm excited to get into it. But first,
Woody Durham.
All right, Tate. Before we get into John Calipari and Mark Stoops stuff, I want to forget to talk about this, so I want to say this out of the gate. I listened to a bunch of Lil Baby songs on the drive-in, and if you're listening to the show and you have no idea why this is relevant, last show we did, it went a little long, so a lot of people probably dipped out early and didn't hear the end.
I'll check the numbers. I'll check the analytics to see how long they listened.
Check the algorithm. You get the reports.
People listen to 4 minutes. It's basically like the intro, right when I say, but first Woody Durham, they're like, all right, got it.
Remember we make we do like Twitter video. We like make videos and put them up, and then
this is our early content
days.
Yeah.
And we get the analytics back, and like they'd be like, people are watching your videos for 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
That's
we're like,
it?
it was an hour and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah. I was like, it was an hour and a half. They're like, yeah, the average viewer watches 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I was like, that's the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard. They're like, no, that's insane. Like most people watch like a minute.
They're like, honestly,
16.
we average 6 seconds. I was like, what?
So what is
Why
this
are we
business?
making these videos?
It's like I don't.
Great times.
And our feud with the algorithm began then. But
Yeah.
so I was listening to Lil Baby because Lil Baby is my new favorite rapper because he did a back to school special for all the kids in Atlanta and he got them haircuts and school supplies and shopping and whatever else. We talked about it. Go listen to the last show. But I know nothing about rap music, so I asked Tate. I was like, explain to me who is Lil Baby and whatever. So I was trying to do some homework on the way in.
Yeah.
And my update is that I went to Spotify basically and just hit play on all the popular songs because I figured like that's the best way to do it. And I'm no closer to understanding Lil Baby because like every single song is him. It's like on the spot you hit the popular one, it's someone else. It's like Drake singing featuring Lil Baby, and like. I listened for 30 minutes of quote unquote Lil Baby songs. I still don't know which one was Lil Baby because like I thought I was listening to Lil Baby, but then like some guy named Pop Smoke is popping up on my artist list.
R.I.P.
And then there was one song that was like Lil Baby, and then it put in parentheses Lil Baby, and I was like, is it
Lil Baby featuring Lil Baby.
this man changed the game. So that's the update there for those that have been asking where I stand in my Lil Baby fandom. I'm still willing to give it a shot. I'm trying to suss through it. I don't understand it.
Lil Baby is like
know.
when he's hot right now. So when you're making a song, right? You're even Calvin Harris, you're DJ Khaled. You say, all right, I need that Lil Baby feature. I need that Lil Baby verse. And you know this because you were a fan, or not a fan of Lil Wayne, but you were aware. And
he was the feature guy,
and he
Every
was one
song
of the
was featuring,
kings and one of the first people to break the fourth wall and say it's 100K a feature, right? And then people are like, yo, Lil Wayne's getting 100K a feature, and look how many features he's on. This man is a bazillionaire.
Does anybody audit this stuff, by the way?
No,
like
but it sounds good.
we need like a rapper.
Now people are saying, now J. Cole's like, I'm $1 million a feature, you know? And people are like, $1 million a feature. Future's like, I'm $1 million a show. And nobody knows if these are true claims, but they sound good. You know what I mean? It's provocative. It gets the people going.
That's a funny bit. Is like someone needs to step up and be the rapper auditor that just like is listening to all the claims and just going through and crunching the numbers.
Yes. Here's how much he really would make. You know, but Lil Baby right now, in the world of Baby, because we talked about Baby, of course, there are two babies in rap that are polarizing. Draymond Green got married. We like talking about NBA weddings here. And Baby performed. He had Baby. So like we said, we were Lil Baby versus Baby. Draymond's on Baby side, which is
that's not a good side.
Not a good side to be.
Okay.
I was shocked by this. But Lil Baby has gotten away from all controversy other than the time he got locked up abroad with James Harden, which was more
for
funny
drugs,
than
right?
Yeah, well, for weed.
So like I don't.
So you're fine.
I don't. That's
pass.
That's a pass.
It's illegal in our state where we live.
That's a pass. I'm gonna pass that one.
But I'm happy that you listen. I listened to Lil Baby on the way in just because you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the song of the season is Heating Up. That's a Free Gunna, and Lil Baby. That's our song for this season.
I decided also in that moment where I realized I know nothing about anything going on with this, but I'm ready to fire off my rap takes nonetheless. Maybe that's what we do when Evan Turner comes on the show, because I feel like that's a good way for me to like inadvertently get under his skin. Is instead of like hitting the nose.
He loved the lasagna line. He Evan Turner. Yeah, cheese moving silence like lasagna.
He loved that line. So I figure instead of bringing the controversy head on, like bringing him on the show and like we're fighting about God knows what.
I don't want that. I don't want you guys fighting.
I just subtly like go through my top 5 current rappers and like watch him have an aneurysm as a
You should do Macklemore 1 and then Ryan Lewis 2.
Fort Minor's on. Does that count or is that a group? Putting Fort Minor on there.
Who's the last question about music? Who's the rapper or who's like the country singer that raps? Luke Bryan? Is he the one that raps? Like it's basically rap.
I've gotten out of the country game too. I got to be honest. Since I moved.
Well, that should be your number one. Whatever that country singer that raps, that guy.
I mean,
I guess Tim McGraw and Nelly made a song that time. Maybe Tim McGraw's your number one rapper.
The country singer that raps. Oh, is it Sam Hunt? Is that what you're talking about? He like talks.
Maybe it's Kane Brown.
It might be Kane Brown.
Is that who it is?
I
don't know.
Sam Hunt's thing is like he just talks. Like he literally just like talks.
Like spoken word.
What's up, girl? I see you on the side of the bar, and I was trying to talk to you the other day, and now I see you, and I'm gonna try to talk again. And like,
put him on your list.
Does it like that.
Put him on
your
list.
What, are you singing or just
Evan? Come on the show.
Anyway, that's a music breakdown with Titus and Tate. But it's relevant because we're talking about the rap scene, Tate. Watch this segue. This is why I'm a professional. This is why I make the big bucks. We're talking about the rap scene. We're talking about the guys who are hot in the streets, and that is relevant because it all roads lead back to John Calipari, and he is a man who has his finger on the pulse of rap music as well, by befriending Kanye West and Lil Wayne and Drake, the 3 hottest names in rap right now. I mean, those. Can you find me 3? And you're in 2022. Are there 3 guys that are bringing the heat more than those 3 guys? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So let's talk about John Calipari versus Mark Stoops. This is a story that we touched on last show because we thought it was just going to be like a quick moment and we all move on. Because John Calipari, for those who missed it, is basically stumping for a new practice facility for the Kentucky basketball team.
They deserve it.
Yeah, they deserve it. Yeah, earn, not given. We understand that that's a Calipari motto, is earn, not given. So he has earned it as the head coach of Kentucky.
I earned this third base position.
Yes, I earned the third base. Yeah. So he's basically like publicly stumping, and at some point he lets it slip, or maybe he doesn't let it slip. He purposely says like, we're a basketball school, and like
everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it, and we got to get basketball. Basketball schools should have better basketball facilities. Mark Stoops takes exception to this. Mark Stoops being Kentucky's head football coach.
And a man who has been wholeheartedly in front of rebranding Kentucky football. You know what I mean? Mark Stoops has been basically, like you said, stumping for the past 5 years about Kentucky football's for real.
Yep. And so he in Kentucky football, like defined for real. Like, is Kentucky football competing for national titles? No.
But they're not Kansas.
But they were a 10-win team in the SEC last year. And, that's something. That counts.
It is.
That counts.
It is.
So they're no longer. I mean, they were never really like as bad as like Indiana or Kansas football, but Kentucky football has been really bad at times. They're not bad anymore. They're good. So Mark Stoops takes exception to this. Tweets out something about. I just remember the hashtag. The four straight postseason wins.
Yes.
Kentucky football's won 4.
That was basically what you can infer.
That's
from
what
the
we
tweet.
saw when we did our last show, and we were like, "That's funny. That's a good jab back at Calipari. They're gonna call each other off air, and everyone's gonna
wipe their hands.
Wipe their hands. It's gonna be over." Wrong. False. The exact opposite happened. There has been more gasoline poured on this.
This is a war of words. Yes.
Mark, with where gas prices are today, Mark Stoops has spent his entire salary, I think, on gasoline to pour onto this fire that's been created. So I'm gonna give you a rundown of some of the quotes that I pulled these from seaofblue.com. Shout out to them, the SB Nation, a little Kentucky blog, that the operation they have. They did a nice succinct breakdown of all of these quotes that are coming out of Mark Stoops not letting this thing die, because he took exception to it. He thought like John Calipari calling this a basketball school. He's like, football program makes more money. We are in the SEC. I don't care how many national titles you won in basketball. If you're an SEC school, baby,
it's secondary.
Baby, you're a football school.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So here's some of the quotes from Mark Stoops. I don't care about anyone's program or others that we compete against. I stay in my lane. But when you start talking about mine and people I compete against, I'm going to defend my players. Don't demean or distract from what we've done to get to this point. I don't need to apologize for that, and I won't. So when you're coming out and you're like, I'm not going to apologize. All right, so now the gloves are a little bit off.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes. No disrespect. I'm not concerned about anybody's feelings outside of that building. Talking about his own practice building, his own facility. Another quote: "Some may, but this program didn't wake up on third base," and that's the one you touched on earlier. That's
what we would call a character call out, right? That is to say, you are privileged, right? And in these days, you don't want that to be, especially when you're John Calipari and you're selling the dream. You know what I mean? You don't want another coach to basically be like, "You're not that guy, pal."
Well, Jim Harbaugh said that about Ryan Day when Michigan beat Ohio State in football, and boy, it was an effective dig. We'll put it that way.
If you get a reaction, it ruffles. You know what I mean? It definitely hits. You know what you're doing when you say that, right? Like, that is a loaded, that's like saying someone has a posse or something. You're like, that's a loaded phrase.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? And saying someone's born on third base, you're basically saying you don't deserve this.
Because there's not a human being alive that wants to, that will willingly acknowledge that they were born on third base.
Of course.
Nobody. No, everybody wants to struggle.
Everyone thinks that we're in a meritocracy, right?
Yeah.
If you talk to anyone that's in any position, they're like, it's a meritocracy. My merit has brought me here. But you and I work in one of the most nepotistic, I don't even know if that's a word, but it is an infected business with third basers.
Do you have any examples?
No,
guys
I can't. I have none because I am not Mark Stoops and I would never do that. But when you hear that term, you're like, wait a second, what? Wait, what? And that's where we are.
Yeah, like
and Calipari was definitely affected by that.
Oh, of course. How could you not be? How could you not be? The freaking prince of I don't follow the royal family on, but who's the prince?
Prince Harry.
Who's the one? The
Prince William.
William, is that the older one?
William's the older one that is married to Kate.
King?
He's the one that's good. He's the one that's still in the family.
Is he gonna be king someday?
I don't know how it works. I think he's gonna be prince again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he stays prince. Is there ever a king?
You're gonna be Duke of.
You don't want to be a duke.
Worcestershire.
You don't want to be a duke. Harry tried to come to America and be the king of America. Like they tried to like hang out with Oprah,
we don't do that.
and we're like, we don't do kings.
Harry, we don't do kings. But even that guy, what's his name? William. Yeah, even if you ask that guy, he'd be like, I was not born out there. I worked hard for this.
Yeah.
I worked like.
Of course. Of course.
I earned everything to get here. So that was. There are two more quotes.
He has a tattoo earned, not given.
Earned on his chest. Two more quotes from Mark Stoops. That's it. On why he tweeted a response to Calipari's quote. So the one, the hashtag 4 straight bowl or 4 straight postseason wins, which was a dig because Kentucky basketball, as we know, has not
St. Peter's.
Has not. Yeah, St. Peter's.
That's all you have to say.
And also 9 and what? How many losses did they have 2 years ago? Anyway, that's in defense of my players, in defense of the work that we've done. That was the quote. And then I'm done. I've addressed it. I will defend my players. And that was a quote about apparently him not talking to Calipari yet. They have not spoken, according to the sources that they've not. This isn't like they have a public spat, but they're actually
behind closed doors,
whatever.
Yeah.
No,
there are no closed doors. They are opening the doors,
yes.
And they're saying, "Come look at our dirty laundry."
So where do mom and dad fit into all this? Because you got the brothers are fighting. Dad has to step in. Dad being AD Mitch Barnhart. He's the guy that is overseeing both of the whole athletic program.
He's like, we all actually play at Kentucky.
Yeah, all the jerseys say Kentucky. Yeah. We're all Wildcats. I thought. I don't know. We'll see. So whose side is he taking in all this? Well, let's suss out the. And great analogy on my part. I didn't even mean to do this as I'm about to read this first quote. Mitch Barnhart, the first quote that's listed here is, quote, adults are supposed to teach the children.
Bang. Like that.
Interesting. Yep. That's so you kind of see where his head's at. He's not happy with what's unfolding. But again, which side is he going to take here, Tate? Let's see.
He's saying it sounds a little childish.
We are not a basketball school. We are not a football school. We are a school with an outstanding athletic department. We are an, quote, all everything school. The desire for more should be met with a sense of gratitude was also a quote. And now you're starting to say to yourself, is this man talking about John Calipari?
Mm-hmm.
Is he? The Craft Center continues to be a state-of-the-art facility. There's a process, and we will work through that process. It's not a project in our strategic plan. So it sounds like he's not interested in entertaining the idea of funneling a bunch of money to the basketball program at the moment. They will talk at the appropriate time when Calipari gets back from the Bahamas. This is about whether Cal and Stoops have talked. They are both iconic people at our program, and I will anticipate them to handle that like pros. And then finally, the dagger is, I'm not real thrilled with where we are. Grown-ups are going to have to figure this out and be a little better. Sometimes when you get a little bit of success, you get a little entitled. We will be a grateful department. We will not be entitled. I will teach it that way in my end. That's juicy.
And that right there says to you, we're a football school.
Yeah,
right? I mean, that is the way I read that. The AD is saying, hey, you're being entitled. You're acting like you're on third base. Mm-hmm. Shut up. I'm not going to just give you whatever you want. Enjoy the Bahamas. Have a great trip, but shut up.
I absolutely love it. I love it not for just the drama. I love it because this is all we've ever wanted out of Kentucky is like have a little pride.
Stand up for
quit
yourself.
Like bending over backwards for one man because like you should have some sort of sense of like John Calipari needs Kentucky way more than Kentucky needs him. Yes. Way more. And I know that there are people that are like, I don't know, man. I remember the Billy Gillespie years. Like those were dark times. And then Cal came along and saved us. You could have 30 Billy Gillespies in a row at Kentucky. Keep firing guys and keep hiring Billy Gillespie over and over and over. And still, the 31st guy you hire is going to be in a position where he can make Kentucky basketball great because it's like a machine. It's Camelot.
The infrastructure
it's literally
is there.
Camelot. That's what Rick Pitino said. He said it's literally Camelot. I miss it every day. He said that when he was coaching at Louisville.
And if John Calipari get fired, Rick Pitino would be like, hello there.
Hi. Hello, friends.
Hello.
So anyway, this is it's a fascinating story because it's that's ultimately what seems to doom guys. Is like I'm not putting Cal in the hot seat. I'm not saying I'm not one of those crazy people, but it does feel like that's what when unexpected changes happen and like when things like fall apart, it's never like Cal's not going to get fired for losing to St. Peter's. I don't think. I mean, he'd have to lose the 15th seed like 3 more tournaments in a row. You know, what happens is shit like this is like it gets political. He like upsets the wrong boosters. The AD's not happy with him. Like Kentucky football's trying to build something. They're trying to. They see the bigger picture, which is like as all this conference realignment's happening and every decision is influenced by football, and that's how every school's staying afloat.
Yes.
We need to invest more in football. The boosters see that. They're investing more in football. Everyone's going to football. And if Cal's not on board with that, then maybe we should get a guy on who is, I don't know. So that's fascinating to me because like this is the mechanisms at work here. Again, I'm not saying he's on the hot seat. I'm not saying he's even a little bit on the hot seat. But if we look up in 5 years and John Calipari is on the hot seat, I'm going to be like, remember that time when he said we're at basketball school?
I would say this. I think John Calipari is sitting on his throne, but about 3 years ago, someone lit a candle underneath that throne. And slowly the flame is growing and the heat is rising, and slowly he's looking down and he's like, is there smoke? That's smoke under my feet? And people are like, no, it's not smoke. Don't worry about it. But I think that is what we're getting the territory of, where he is walking around like he can do whatever, but that is not the world that we live in, especially at Kentucky right now. Because like you said, they have a larger plan. They have a larger scheme about what they want to do with athletics. And in their minds, they're not reaping the returns, right? We've been a decade since we won a national championship, right?
It's a long time.
It's a long time. Yeah. That was when Anthony Davis played college basketball. It's a long time. We're now at the point where you're like, Anthony Davis is on the second part of his NBA career, right? So that's how far removed we are from what we ultimately want. We're striving for 9. We've been striving for 9 for a long time.
It's a long strive.
It's a long strive. And they don't play that. You know this. I know this. We know Kentucky fans.
And it was a long time between the Anthony Davis title and the one before that. I mean, not really, but it felt like a long time.
Felt like a long time. Felt like eons.
Yeah.
And in general, what I gather from Kentucky fans and people that I know that are Kentucky fans, they like the football program. They like that they're competing in football.
Yeah.
They're actually very prideful about it. So why would you poke that bear when your own fan base doesn't want that? Like your own fan base has been arguing against other people in the SEC about being a basketball school for a decade, and now your own coach of your basketball program says that?
Yeah.
It's almost like he turned his back on his actual fans. And that's why the Kentucky people are all up in arms. And now you're arguing amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a lot of the discussion seemed to be centered on who was right. Like it was Cal right to say that they were a basketball school, and I saw people rushing his defense saying like, yeah, of course they're right. They got eight national titles. They're one of the blue bloods of college basketball. It is definitively a basketball school. In my mind, it's not an issue of whether he's right. It's an issue of like, why would you say this?
It's a loaded term.
Why would you?
Like the implicate. Like you saying
you have
that.
To be smarter than
yeah,
that.
Exactly. You saying that is basically like, who's going to get this money because we're first priority.
Yeah.
In a time where the Kentucky athletic program is saying, hey, wait a second here, we need to invest on this end. So you're basically, like you said, you're going against like the powers that be, and they don't like when you try to challenge them.
The funniest part about it all, which I still think I still can't believe, and I'm not sure I do believe, but the football program makes more money.
Of course, and if he was coming off a Final Four run, I would actually think he gets a lot of a pass here.
Right.
But it's like you
just lost to a 15 seed
exactly
dude, after winning 9 games. Like maybe
the time is now to tone it down a bit, and he is going the opposite direction. Which in one spec you're like, gotta respect the audacity.
Yeah.
But there is an equal and opposite reaction on the other side of that. And it sounds like Mitch Barnhart and the athletic program is saying, hey, our moneymaker's here, and guess what we care about? Money, duh!
Hey, John, I don't know if you're aware, but all of our decisions, they're driven by money.
Yeah.
Money.
Can I mention one thing that I just noticed when I was watching the Kentucky-Bahamas game quickly?
Yeah, please give us a scouting report.
Yeah. So the event itself that was put on, did you see who the sponsor was?
It was Drake.
It was Drake.
Yeah, it
wasn't Drake himself, but it was a bar restaurant called Drake's.
No, maybe that's why I didn't watch the rest of the game, because I turned it on. I saw his spot. It was like they said Drake's Big Blue Bahamas,
Exactly.
And then I stopped watching because I was like Googling
Yes.
Did Drake sponsor?
and so luckily I did the research here, but legend has it that Bruce Drake created this restaurant. I guess that's a string of restaurants, like a TGI Fridays type vibe. That is Drake's, and that was who the sponsor was.
They got good apps? I got to look up the app.
Gotta have good apps. They got a good
Drake's.
menu, it looks like. They got some cocktails. They're down in the South, so it's like, Alabama.
But you didn't know about them.
I didn't know about them.
Oh, interesting.
So
is
now,
it like a new thing?
I
Is
guess
it like
so.
a
I mean,
Deep
it
South
says
thing?
it's in North Carolina, but only Burlington, North Carolina, which, I mean, shout out Burlington. Been there, played them and conference against Burlington Williams, but never went to Drake's. But anyways, that backdrop just made me laugh.
Yeah.
And then as you're watching it, right, you're like, wow, this is the most PR sponsored event I've ever seen. And as you're looking around, you're like, wait a second. So John Calipari is sitting basically at mid-court. He's sitting at a table like he's Simon Cowell judging American Idol. Like, he's not even coaching these games, and he's literally like judging what is happening within his. And he's like whispering behind papers, like he's like pointing at guys. Guys are getting benched and stuff. And they asked CJ Frederick at one point while he's on the call. They're like, "So you have Orlando Antigua over here who's coaching the game, and he's yelling and doing all types of stuff, and you got Cal over here, so they're opposite. So you have to choose who you're going to listen to." And they're like, "CJ, who do you listen to?" He's like, "Oh, definitely Cal." But meanwhile, like, Orlando Antigua is actually coaching the live game that's happening against a live opponent, the Bahamas team. But Calipari is basically distracting his own team with his own conversation. So that whole backdrop just made all of this other stuff even funnier as I watched this, because I'm like, this is just a PR display.
Orlando Antigua coached all 4 games.
I believe so, yes.
And they went 4-0. In the last game, we saw John Calipari.
Is this a Mark Tatum situation? Where you're like, bump up the number 2.
Is there trouble in paradise? In literally paradise? Trouble in the Bahamas? Is that what we're gathering from this? Because I saw.
I just find it fascinating.
I saw before the Bahamas game, because they played. Their game 4 was the Bahamas.
Yes.
They played the Bahamas. For those of you that are saying, now wait a second, they played the Bahamas in the Bahamas. I thought Cal doesn't do true road games. No, false. Because this was. As you said, they had Big Blue Madness on the. So this was a neutral site.
It was a Kentucky event.
This was like
by and large.
This was not a Bahamas home arena. It was like a Spokane arena situation. It was because it was a Kentucky event. Bahamas gave them a good game. I guess that's what I sent you the eyes emojis.
Yes.
Like,
they played really solid, but they had pro players on their team.
Kentucky does too. What's the difference?
I know. True.
Oscar Sheboy makes more than all the Bahamas team combined. And then,
on this trip, he made that much.
I gotta get used to that. The new era of like amateur versus
I want the first
using
video
words
of like
about.
Oscar Sheboy smacking someone with the stack of cash. That's what I need.
But the game before that, Tate, they played Carleton, who if you've been listening to our show for a long time,
that was tough.
You might remember Jordan Henry, who I was prepared to have on the show today, to be honest with you, Tate. Jordan Henry's a guy who appeared on our show a handful of times. Bills himself as the Canadian John Rothstein, I believe.
Yes. He's our Canadian correspondent.
He's got his finger on the pulse of Canadian basketball, which matters. A lot of Canadians are making a lot of. Tell the people some Canadians that exist out there that are good at basketball.
Andrew Wiggins
won an NBA title.
Jamal Murray
hasn't played in a while, but
he was great in the bubble. Remember the bubble?
Yeah,
that was
remember that. And then others. And then Steve Nash, who's coaching the Brooklyn
Tristan
Nets
Thompson used to be in that list. Cut him out. Corey Joseph cut him out.
So you and I have been fascinated by Canadian basketball for a little while because Canada's not that much different than us. They should be good, right? And
we have to say R.J. Barrett for Jim, by the way.
R.J. Barrett, yeah. You cannot forget
superstar R.J. Barrett.
And then once upon a time, was it Wisconsin lost to Carleton? I believe they went up to Canada, and one of those Wisconsin teams I think lost in the on their summer tour to the Carleton Ravens. And then the famous example was Mike Daum went up
the Dominator.
Mike Daum goes vegan. He's talking about it all off season. He's like, I'm lighter. I'm more nimble.
He's like, my game has changed.
I got a spin move.
He got wrecked by Carleton. He was like, back to meat.
Yeah, I'm going to eat meat now. I made a huge mistake. I'm going back to meat. So we were fascinated by Carleton. They've won. I think at one point they'd won like 12 of 13 national titles in Canada or something. And there's like a Grantland article about Carleton.
I believe so. They're the Ravens, right? They're the Ravens. Yeah.
So if you were to ask me to name Canadian college basketball teams. Like Carleton's the first one, and then Calgary's another one. I remember they sent me a jersey one time. They're the dinosaurs, like the dinos. They have like great,
like the Raptors.
Yeah, dude. But it's like they have like a cartoon dinosaur.
I mean, shout out to Canada for really like cornering the dinosaur. Like, we'll be dinosaurs or bears.
Calgary's was like, like at least the Toronto Raptor looks like mean and like will rip you to shreds. Like
the dino's like smiling. He's like Barney. Yeah, he's like thumbs up.
Anyway, Carleton's been on my radar for a while. I saw Kentucky was going to play him. It was upset alert, and Kentucky beat the ever-living shit out of them, Tate. And that's noteworthy to me because, is there trouble in paradise? Because Orlando Antigua, should we be worried about Canadian basketball? One, if Carleton's getting worked by Kentucky, or is it the flip side? Is Kentucky actually good, but only when John Calipari's not coaching? There's a lot of things. Yeah. There's a lot of smoke out there to make sense of. I don't know where we stand. We have plenty of time to figure it out, though. That's the good part because the season doesn't start for like 3 more months.
I will say this. I was watching the game, and it does feel a little bit like Kentucky is kind of going through the motions with some of their stars, quote unquote. Severe Wheeler, he had a couple sloppy possessions where he's just letting the ball go away.
That's Severe Wheeler at his peak, I think. That's vintage Severe
Wheeler. I do find it fascinating that we're in the situation where, this Kentucky team is going to have so much, like, of course they're going to compete for a national championship. Of course.
Yeah.
And they did lose arguably their best playmaker. I'm not going to say their best player in Titus. So it will be fascinating. But as I was watching this game, it seems like Jacob Toppin is going to be the guy. Jacob Toppin is actually going to have to be important to this team. And I don't know. That's interesting to me.
CJ Frederick didn't play, though.
No.
That's why
he did great on the mic, though.
I saw a clip of CJ Frederick hitting like 30 threes in a row or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was making its rounds, and some of Big Blue Nation were going crazy. This man can't miss. But then, like, his release takes, like half the shot clock to get the shot off, and he doesn't jump. But he doesn't miss. And you're like, all right. But then you also are like,
how does he get it off?
Yeah, and last time we saw this guy was against Oregon in the NCAA tournament when he couldn't play because
they were literally just like crossing him up and then dunking every single time. Yeah, he did say, which I found, because he was hurt last year, right?
Yeah.
So he said in his he kind of let this slip a little bit, but he was like, yeah, Coach Calipari, when I got here last year, he was like, playing at Kentucky is different. He was like, so I needed a redshirt year to prepare myself for playing for Kentucky. And I was like, oh, so it was a little double entendre there.
I think I got one more year. When Reed Sheppard gets to Kentucky, I'm going to love him, and I know that. And so I'm going to enjoy hopefully one more year of because I am fair. I'm fair and balanced. I think you could say that about me. I think like when the good Kentucky teams come along, I drop the jokes and I'm like, these guys are fucking awesome and I love them. And the same with Duke. When Duke has an awesome team that's like actually likable, I'll like them.
Yeah, I mean, same with me. 2017 Kentucky was I thought that team, if it wasn't going to be Carolina, I thought Kentucky was going to beat them. And obviously Luke May hit the shot, and it was anybody could have won that game. And then 2019 Duke. I mean, how do you not win a title? I mean, if you have a real coach, you win a title 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
You're
absolutely right.
I mean, if Orlando Antigua's coaching that team.
Yeah. That's a great hypothetical, huh?
They're winning the championship.
If Orlando Antigua was at Duke for the last 40 years, how many national titles does he have with those rosters?
At least
with all of those rosters.
At least 2.
Oh, my God.
He's 50%.
Unbelievable. He's so
someone aggregate that.
No, it's what's the saying about like the backup quarterback's most popular guy on campus or like that?
I think that's the saying.
I think
that's Carolina football for the past 20 years. That's what we always say. Every single time that we have a starter, we're like, did you see Mitchell Trubisky, though? Yeah. It's like we have Marquise takes us to an ACC championship.
The associate head coach is the most popular guy in Kentucky's.
Of course. Of course. Is how it works.
But is Kentucky a basketball or football school? That's the question. And I think the solution, the conclusion that we come to in this saga is that it's not John Calipari's place to say. That's whether he's right or wrong doesn't matter. You should not be the one that steps up and say it.
You're too close.
And in fact, I don't think any coach at any school in the country should say this. I don't think Bill Self should say this about Kansas. I don't think he should come out and say we're a basketball school. I think that's detrimental to It doesn't help Kansas. It doesn't help anybody.
You mentioned Bill Self, and this is a perfect example. Bill Self is at Kansas's football practice. I don't know how I saw this, but again, we joked about how I somehow always see Kansas football. But I was watching ESPN. They showed Bill Self at Kansas football practice, and he's like, "We got a lot of transfers. I really like this group. I think they're going to be a really good team, and we're not going to be a doormat anymore in the Big 12. I think a lot of these players could play at any team in the Big 12." And I'm sitting there and I'm watching. I'm like, this compared to we're a basketball school.
I'll take Bill Self's love of Kansas football seriously when he allows one of his players to play football.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
Like when there's an Antoine Randall situation.
Julius Peppers, Ronald Curry.
Yeah.
Great times.
When he does that, then I know that he's really committed to Kansas football.
I mean, I just will say the coolest thing ever was like football season would end, Carolina plays in the Peach Bowl or whatever, and then it was like a 2-week window where it's like Julius Peppers is in practice, and then Julius Peppers joins the team.
If he lets David McCormick be an edge rusher,
he'd be great.
If Bill Self's willing to let that happen, then I'll believe him.
Yeah,
that he's
tip of the cap.
But anyway, these coaches should not be the ones to say this. But at the same time, Tate, the ADs need to know where they stand. They need to know where to funnel the resources. So I think it's imperative, I guess, that we do figure out like which are the basketball schools and which are the football schools. But if the coaches can't do it, who should do it? The answer is us. That's what we're here for. So I thought we should. We've done this exercise before. I thought it'd be a good time to revisit it with Kentucky in the news. So we're going to do that. We're going to go through. And all the ADs that listen to our show, many of them, huge amount of athletic directors that listen to the show, we're going to set the record straight for them so they know where their athletic program stands. So we're going to dive into it?
Sign me up.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, so I put a list together of some guys of some programs that could go either way. It's a little hazy where it stands. Well, the first one, never mind. The first one is clear as day. It's very obvious. First one on the list is Texas, which is definitely basketball. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yes.
The buzz that
people forgot.
Chris Beard's building.
Yeah, Chris Beard comes there. He changes everything. Also, Shaka Smart before he left wins the Maui Invitational, gets the Maui bump.
2 years in a row that Texas has been ranked in the top 5 in basketball at some point in the season. So hang that banner.
Yeah.
And I really believe this in my heart that at some point we saw there was the famous instance where all these football coaches like Nick Saban and name some other football coach.
Jimbo Fisher.
Nick Saban and is Pete Carroll still at UC? I'm joking. Urban Meyer.
Where's he going?
They were at Arch Manning's basketball game, watching Arch Manning play basketball, and I found that interesting because I do believe that Arch Manning has committed to a basketball school in Texas now.
Yeah,
and I do think it's only a matter of time until he's on the basketball team in Texas.
You think he plays both?
I think he plays both.
I like that.
I do think so.
That's fair.
Number 2 on our list, Tennessee. How do you see that one?
I mean, Rick Barnes, basketball school. I mean, Tennessee has done a full turn from Phil Fulmer, that whole era, early 2000s. They're like, we're done with this. That was our football time. Now we want to win. Now we want to make a Final Four. We're Team Rick Barnes, basketball school. Lock it in.
I'll put it this way. I know of multiple basketball coaches that have had success at Tennessee. Phil Fulmer was the only guy I know that did anything for the football program.
Yeah.
And maybe that says more about me than
but
Tennessee football. But
that's the only name that when you think of Tennessee football coach.
That's it.
That's it.
So are they actually a good football program or is it just Phil Fulmer?
In Tennessee, I can think of 3 basketball coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basketball school.
Done. Number 3, Florida State. I mean, duh, obvious. That's the next question. I mean, that's basketball.
These are the creators of the term new blood.
Yeah.
And you and I mean, we deal with blue bloods all the time, but the new bloods are necessary. Leonard Hamilton is a new blood
2020 national champions.
Yes.
One of 7 schools to win the 2020 national championship.
Is what it is. We didn't play the tournament, so if you say it, you did it.
Yeah, but like that's a football move though, is to say at the end of the year we didn't have a tournament. Who won? And it's like whoever's the loudest one. That's how football used to work for 100 years.
And look at all this conference realignment. How many leaks have there been that we want the Florida State football team? It doesn't seem like they have the same cachet.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great point.
And if anything, Deion Sanders at his new school took the cachet of Florida State over there to Jackson State.
That's a great point. And keep going with my 2-sport athlete deal. Like Deion Sanders is your greatest player ever in Florida State football history. And even he was like, I need another outlet.
Yeah, I got to play baseball too.
Yeah,
this isn't enough for me.
This isn't enough.
Jameis Winston, I'm not fulfilled.
Yeah,
I have to play baseball also.
Great point, dude. Great point. Number 4 on my list. And I don't know why I keep saying the numbers because these aren't like power rankings.
No, I like it though. I like because there are 10 schools.
I have
right?
10 schools.
10
on my
schools.
list,
Okay.
Yeah. Number 4, is Oregon. That one's a little. That one could get a little dicey, but I ultimately. Do you want to go first?
No, in my head I'm thinking like football school because of the uniforms, but then I'm kind of tracing it back, and then I'm thinking
your instinct is football. You hear Oregon, you're like football, but then you stop and think about it, and you're like,
I'm like Dana Altman.
Dana Altman has been there like 12 years. Wins
2017
games,
Final Four.
20 games every year.
Yeah.
They went to an Elite Eight that wasn't even the Final Four year. They won the Pac-12, right?
Mm-hmm.
They won the Pac-12.
Remember what they did to Iowa?
Right. They broke Luka Garza.
Yes.
Yeah.
The National Player of the Year.
They broke him. And then meanwhile, in the time that Dana Altman's been there have been 5 different head football coaches and 6 if you count the interim guy who coached the bowl game.
Yeah.
This past
I'm counting
year.
it. 6.
So 6 guys have put on the headset.
Too much turnover.
On the sideline. While Dana Altman's been there, that's basketball school, dude.
Yeah.
That's a basketball
Past
school.
decade, all science basketball school.
Yeah. Number 5 on the list is Auburn, which I think is like a no-brainer basketball school because they just had 2 first-round picks. I literally cannot name a single player on Auburn's football team right now. Now that Bo Nix went to Oregon, funny enough that we just talked about Oregon, and I honestly don't know who the head coach is of Auburn football at this point. Is it still Gus Malzahn?
I can't even.
Dude, that's a joke.
No, I know. But at the end of the day.
But also, I don't know. I wasn't joking. I don't know who the guy is. That's head coach at Auburn.
I was like, the most famous thing that he did was tweet everything school with a picture of him and Bruce Pearl in reaction to the Calipari Mark Stoops thing, right? I mean, that's his one shining moment so far.
Like, who's this guy with Bruce Pearl?
They're like, is that their offensive coordinator?
And I feel like Auburn fans would actually agree with that they are. They wouldn't want to agree because they're like, we have proud football tradition, but at the same time,
they're winking at us as they're saying it.
But they would be excited to know that we
acknowledge
your basketball program, right?
Yeah. Should have gone to the Final Four last year.
I'm now realizing that a lot of my standards with this is kind of my standard for making a Hall of Fame, which is I believe my anytime like these like baseball Hall of Fame decisions or basketball Hall of Fame decisions come up, and it's like does Mitch Richmond belong in the basketball Hall of Fame? It's always Mitch Richmond.
I think so. But
my answer is yes, and you know why my answer is yes is because I know Mitch Richmond, and that's my standard with every Hall of Fame. It's like if I know the guy, if me personally, that's if you're asking me personally, does he belong in the Hall of Fame? I say yes if I know who he is.
Torrey Holt, yes.
Hall of Fame, yes. Put him in the Hall of Fame, yes.
Marshall Faulk. Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. Dude.
All the Rams players.
Yeah.
Dre Bly.
It's like all the Colts players I watched grow up. Austin Collie, Hall of Fame.
This is a Hall of Famer.
Put him in the Hall of Fame. That's how I am.
Bob Sanders, though, Hall of Fame.
Bob Sanders, like, all jokes aside, Hall of Fame.
I will say this. Bob Sanders is one of those players that you're like, if he plays the game, we win. If he doesn't, we lose. Which is, in football, really hard to have those kind of players.
I'm glad you hit the nail on the head. Every single Colts fan, and I wasn't even a Colts fan growing up, but, like, I could sense it around all my friends and everything. Like, as you just said, dude, if Bob Sanders was in, you're like, the Colts are winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. But he was never in because he was hurt at all times.
Yes.
So when he was hurt, you're like, we're and it's like it's one guy. It's a football. Like you know how many guys get on the field in a football? He's not even the quarterback. He's like, you're like, doesn't matter. This is how it works with the Colts. Without Bob Sanders, we're in trouble.
And I feel like if you ask like Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed, who I think are the guys, right? If you were like, what's one safety that you look to and you respect, they'd be like, oh, Bob Sanders. Yeah. no doubt Bob Sanders.
I'm going to work on a theory off air now when we get done with the show that Bob Sanders is the Michael Beasley of football.
Yes.
That he's a guy we only saw.
Or Michael Porter Jr. He's just like
we just saw a few flashes of him, but it was enough, and he has the respect of everybody.
Everyone's like, he's nice.
He's nice. So anyway, that's how I'm going about this. Is like I don't know who the football coach is, thus ipso facto basketball.
Bruce Pearl's the face of Auburn sports right now. Basketball school.
Yeah, you know that is fair. That's a fair assessment. Number 6 on my list is USC. A lot of buzz around the football program right now.
Lincoln Riley Colin Coward downstairs right now is talking about the USC's recruiting class.
Lincoln Riley, people forget, has not won a game at USC. Literally has not won a single game.
Yeah.
A lot of chatter out there, a lot of buzz. He's won 0 games. So
yes.
I think when you start
won a lot of headlines though.
Yeah.
He's won so many headlines, at least 100.
The USC basketball program, back-to-back 25-win seasons. Went to an Elite Eight. Evan Mobley's a guy.
Evan Mobley right now is probably top 5 under 23 whatever player in the NBA. So like you're talking about an all-time player that's always going to go back to USC right there.
I have this note as well that USC basketball is this is why I think ultimately USC is a basketball school is because I dug up this stat. In 1910, They had no coach, and they went 21-3. And that to me just says like there's a culture of basketball within the school.
Like we get it.
Like we don't need a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
roll the balls out.
USC football is like we need Pete Carroll to come in and you know like we need the right coach. Like they've been lost in the wilderness because they can't find the right coach. Yeah. They had Pete Carroll, they were great, couldn't find the right coach. Now they have Lincoln Riley and they think they're great again. If you need the right coach to step in, that tells me your program isn't actually that good. USC basketball does not even need a coach. In 1910, they famously went 21-3. So basketball school.
I agree, and we have to mention that when Pete Carroll was hired, USC people hated the hire. They literally tried to fire him after his first season. They were like, "This guy's terrible. He's always been a loser." And they were owned by UCLA in the 90s. Like UCLA dominated USC in the 90s. People forget this. So UCLA was even more of a football school back then than USC. Yet USC people try to talk about the history and things. It's like, the history you just had one right.
Yeah, and the history is OJ, dude. Yeah. Like that's your history. Let's be honest. It's like OJ and then Pete Carroll showed up and cheated. You know, and like that's come on.
And you didn't three-peat. Like if you had three-peated, if you beat Texas and you go for the three-peat, we're talking about a different two.
Like right now, so the Evan Mobley's in the NBA. Who's the best USC player in the NFL? Like Juju?
He's not even good anymore.
Michael Pittman, I think, for the Colts. He was USC, right?
Yeah.
He was USC receiver. Or who's the guy that just got drafted, the receiver of the Falcons? He played basketball. Holy dude, Drake London's his name. Yes. That dude was on the basketball team.
I was blanking. No,
I was trying to think. It was Drake London. It just hit me. And he played basketball, didn't he, at USC?
Yeah, because he had to share.
It's basketball.
It's a basketball school. Move on.
Basketball school. Number 7, Virginia Tech.
This right here is where it gets dicey because if you were to go to Blacksburg and walk around, right, you start talking to people. They're like Lane Stadium. They get their keys out. They say it's a key play. They start doing the hokey pokey. You know what I mean?
Enter Sandman,
right? They're all everything that they're telling you about is football related. But deep down, Del Curry went to Virginia Tech, and Steph Curry should have gone to Virginia Tech.
Steph Curry wanted to go there.
So de facto, we own Steph Curry, who just won the Finals MVP and is the maybe best player we've seen in the past decade. So Virginia Tech, ipso facto basketball school.
That's a great point. That if until I get a story that like Tom Brady desperately wanted to go to Virginia Tech to play football.
Yeah.
Steph Curry wanted to go to Virginia Tech.
It was
badly.
Like, please take me. Del Curry's making phone calls. Seth Greenberg's like, actually, no.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to go be on TV for the next decade.
Yeah, but please subscribe to my podcast with Dan Dockich. where we definitely stick to sports, but at the same time,
here's the thought.
There's a story for you. I look at some of these kids. The other thing I was going to say was 5 straight NCAA tournaments for the basketball program. People forget. Also beat Michigan State in the Maui Invitational. That counts.
We were there.
Meanwhile, the football program at Virginia Tech lost last year's Pinstripe Bowl to Maryland 54-10. Mm-hmm. And I think when you say the words, we lost the Pinstripe Bowl, that's a sense
you're automatically not a football school anymore. If you play in the Pinstripe Bowl, like voluntarily, like that's when West Virginia fell off. Like they went up there with Geno Smith, and they were like, West Virginia, we're playing the Pinstripe Bowl. Geno Smith couldn't play in the cold, and the New York Jets said, that's our guy.
I remember when Indiana played in the Pinstripe Bowl one year, and like my brother and dad were so fired up about it. I was like,
guys, that's when you were like, we're a basketball school. Yeah.
But that's a sentence that just keeps getting worse though. Lost the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah.
You're like, that's already really bad. You lost the Pinstripe Bowl. Mm-hmm. To Maryland, you're like,
whoa.
54. You let them score 54 points, but all right. Maybe
how many did you score? 40 at least,
like
right?
48, the 54, 40. 10.
Blowout.
Yikes. All right, number 8.
Also won the ACC tournament in Coach K's last year.
Great point.
Basketball school.
Great point.
Basketball school.
They
kept Mr. K from winning anything. He won nothing.
He won nothing. Except, dude, flip it on its head. Great point. The only thing Mr. K won in his final season was a regular season ACC title that Duke fans
have always said 15 years is useless because Carolina won it every year.
Because they said it's not actually real because the ACC only crowns the tournament champion.
Tournament is the real champion.
So you won nothing.
So Virginia Tech.
You win nothing.
Yes.
Good day.
Basketball school.
Be gone.
Yes. Good day, sir.
Number 8, I just put them all in one group. The entire Big Ten, all the Big Ten schools, because
basketball school, basketball conference.
Is it a because it really is like every you talk about like Wisconsin or a Michigan State or others.
Michigan's a good one.
Ohio State,
basketball. When Bronny comes.
Yeah.
Right now, Ohio State is like teetering the line because obviously, preseason number 2 in football. But as soon as Bronny James, soon as he signs that LOI, basketball school.
Yeah, but right now, Ohio State lost to Michigan, and Oregon. We lost 2 football games last year.
Whoa.
I don't know.
To 2 basketball schools.
To 2 basketball schools. Lost 2 football games to 2 basketball schools, so it's good. So, yeah, I just lumped the entire Big Ten together. And, yeah, I agree it's a basketball conference because I think, like...
Well, who did they add? UCLA, basketball school. USC, basketball school.
Yeah, absolutely. Maryland. They
basketball
Maryland
school.
Basketball school. We're going to add Kansas. Just won the national title.
Basketball school.
We're going to add Virginia.
You want Carolina and Virginia. Basketball schools.
School. Yeah.
/ we're everything school.
Also, people rag on the Big Ten for not having won a basketball title since 2000. But what you won't hear the haters talk about is the Big Ten, and this is true. You can look this up. In fact, you could go to the Big Ten offices. I think there's a banner hanging that says this. The only conference with 6 different schools to make the title game in the last 20 years.
Oh.
So, suck on that, haters. That's a basketball conference.
Yeah.
6 different programs in the title game have gotten second place.
Yeah, they all finished in second, but 6 of them got there. There should be a picture of Tom Izzo just holding up the Michael Jordan 6.
Kevin Ward, Jim Delaney after Wisconsin loses to Duke. And like every Big Ten person's like dejected. They're like, damn, will we ever get over the hump? And Jim Delaney's just on the table going, that's
Speaking of that year, can we talk about that video that someone that sent us to us about that said it was 2013, the Wisconsin video? Do you remember that? The Ben Brust thing?
Guy, the insurance
just
guy
quickly, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was terrible.
That's why I don't go on TikTok. Dude.
Yeah.
I'm yet to see a good TikTok.
I cannot believe that someone got that many factual things wrong about like.
It was kind of a funny premise, but like it's like
no, it's a funny premise.
The idea that he was, I mean, and I guess it worked because he got publicity for his insurance company, but also at the same time, I don't know what his insurance company was. But yeah, it was a stupid video. It
hurt me because it felt like that the common people don't even know college basketball staples,
Yeah.
Like it's a staple that Kentucky had a platoon system. They were undefeated. They were flying too close to the sun, and Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker beat them,
So I think he was referencing the year before.
He was?
Kentucky, well, no, but even then he was wrong. He was referencing 2014 when Kentucky beat.
Oh,
Ben Brust,
that's right.
I don't think Ben Brust was on the 2015 Wisconsin team. I think he was the one guy that left from 2014 to 15, and then they basically brought everyone back. So I think he was talking about the first Kentucky.
It was just a hodgepodge of.
But he was still wrong because he said 2013. Yeah.
It threw me for a loop.
No, he's a moron. He's a moron. You're right.
Get your facts right.
All right, we got 2 more. Number 9 is on the list is LSU. This one's tough. This is a tough one. This one's the toughest one on the list.
Yeah.
Because I think
when I think LSU, I think football, but I think Coach O, who's no longer there.
Right.
So now I don't know where it leads me, but I do know this. Pistol Pete played there.
There's a lot. So this is where my mind was like going back and forth as I was thinking through this one because they both have had back-to-back first-round picks.
Okay.
An NBA draft and an NFL draft. They've had 2 straight years where you have a first-round pick. That's so it's
Big Ten stat of the week.
You're pumping out top talent. Cam Thomas, Tari Eason. There's that. They both won an SEC title in 2019. So there's that. You're like, all right. So who's had the most recent success? 2019. They both won the SEC title. And then they both fired their coaches 2 years later, Tate. So they both have new coaches at the helm.
So they're really they're trying to decide right now. So the AD for LSU is listening.
Number 1 picks recently.
Joe Burrow.
Burrow. Yeah. It's really, it could go either way. It really could. But I think Pistol Pete, Shaq, I think that puts it over the top, right?
I mean, those are 2 cultural basketball icons. Who's the most famous LSU football player? That's what I was going to
ask you. I think it might just be Joe Burrow. I really think it might be.
Or Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, or Jamarcus Russell.
Who said he's the biggest bust ever because he was like, if I'm going to be a bust, I better be the biggest one. So shout out to Jamarcus Russell. I thought that was the greatest quote I've ever heard about being a bust.
Or Honey Badger for a second.
Oh, yeah, I think Honey Badger. I think Honey Badger's still out there because he went to the Saints. So he's now going to get like the bump again in New Orleans.
But none of those guys are Pistol Pete Shaq level.
No, God, no.
Not even close. That's a basketball school.
That's a basketball
school.
Yeah,
100%. And then finally,
who are they putting a statue up of OBJ? Maybe Joe Burrow.
Yeah, maybe Joe Burrow.
But there's a statue of Shaq, and there's going to be and there probably is a statue of Pistol Pete already.
Is there a statue of Bob Pettit too?
Probably.
There's definitely not going to be a statue of Ben Simmons. We know that.
Absolutely not. Even though Stephen A. went on, I watched Stephen A. today. He was back on First Take, and he said that he ran into Ben Simmons, and Ben Simmons said he's ready to go. So that's the update on Ben Simmons.
Thank you, Stephen. Very good reporting there. Finally, number 10 on the list is the one that brought us here. Is the Kentucky Wildcats, Tate. Where do they stand? Is it a basketball school? Is it a football school? I think I mean like it's a tough question, right? That's why there's trouble in Camelot. That's why they're fighting so much right now.
Yeah.
It has taken over the college basketball and college football discussions a little bit. Whether it's a basketball school or football school. And I went with these stats. Here's where I ultimately landed. Kentucky football. So here's the tail of the tape. Kentucky football goes 10-3 last year. As Mark Stoops pointed out, 4 straight bowl wins. 2 of them are Citrus Bowls, but Citrus is that's a good one, right?
That's solid.
That's a good bowl.
It's not bad. It's not pinstripe.
It's a B+ tier, right?
Exactly.
Their preseason number 20 in the AP poll that just came out, the AP football poll for this season. That's Kentucky football. That's the picture of Kentucky football. Meanwhile, it says here in my notes that Kentucky basketball gave a lifetime contract to a man who has as many national titles as Kevin Ollie. So, and also South Carolina has been to a Final Four more recently than Kentucky Wildcats.
That is true. That's fact.
And also they went 9-16 2 seasons ago, and also lost to a 15 seed in the NCAA tournament last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you consider those facts, I lean basketball on a lot of these. I don't know. I'd have to go back and count up how many I picked basketball before, but I think like this one, I'm thinking it's football, dude. I really do think it's football, and I think Mark Stoops had a reason to be upset. I think Kentucky is a football school. I really do.
And they have the longest tenured career in pro football history by quarterback George Blanda, who obviously won 2 AFL titles, should have won 3 but lost in double overtime. And George Blanda was not only the quarterback, he was the kicker. He played 2 positions and was winning championships and played 27 years in professional football. There's going to be a statue of George Blanda. I don't know if I could find a statue of Antoine Walker. So football school.
That's what I was going to say. Like who's the George Blanda of the basketball program?
You won't find one.
Jamal Mashburn?
You won't find one.
The John Wall?
Tayshaun Prince?
I mean, like Dan Issel?
DeMarcus Cousins? It's probably Dan Issel. It's Pat Riley. Pat Riley is probably the one that they put the statue of. But George Bland is hard to beat, so I'm leaning football school.
Dan Issel's only a 6-time ABA All-Star.
Well, I'm an ABA guy, so I'm an ABA apologist. But I will say this: it's hard to find a career better than George Blanda. 27 years of professional sports.
That's pretty good.
I'm only 29.
Well, we settled it. That's good. So Mitch, if you're listening, you're on the right side of history.
Yes.
Football school. Pump all the resources of the football program. In fact, you could even neglect the basketball program if you wanted.
Yeah, it's about time. I think
that's fine.
8's enough.
8's enough.
Like you already ate. You're full.
You ate.
You're full.
We ate.
Yes.
Hashtag we ate.
Don't be gluttonous.
We ate.
Don't be a glutton. We ate. We ate. That's a good campaign for the football program.
For the football
they
program.
Ate. Now we eating.
I think we settled it though, and I think like if Kentucky basketball wants to shut down, I think we have a lot of evidence that suggests that's a good idea.
So out of the 10 schools that we just ran through, we got 9 basketball schools and 1 football school.
And Kentucky's a football school,
yes.
Which is great for Kentucky football. And I think Kentucky football, if you're smart, you put that out there. You say that
you aggregate this.
You aggregate this, and you say we
make
are
a graphic.
Football school in a way that none of these other schools are.
HT, Titus and Tate. Kentucky is a football school.
All right, we're gonna take a break, come back, and talk about some famous basketball schools like Ohio State and USC and Michigan who are in the LeBron James Jr. No, I'm sorry. Bronny. That's not his name anymore.
Just Bronny. Hashtag Bronny.
The Bronny Sweepstakes. All right, let's talk a little Bronny James, Tate. Another guy who I can't quit. I mean, as much as I want to. I don't know. We just keep finding ourselves back here talking about it because it is. I will say, in all honesty, and I shouldn't even have to preface this because anyone who listens to our show knows how serious we are at all times. But I am very, very serious that it is one of the more fascinating recruitments in college basketball history when you think about like he's the you know, the biggest name, image, likeness draw that's out there. There's never been like a more famous, independently famous.
He has I think I saw he has a $7 million NI evaluation, and then in his class, and then the next closest is Mikey Williams, which is like a $1 million. So like he's like 6 times what any other player in his class is.
So he's obviously extremely famous, maybe the most famous recruit since, funny enough, his father. But even then, like his dad was definitely, well, I don't know. We'll talk about that later. So there's that part of it, but then there's the part of like no one really knows how good he actually is because it's like kind of conflicting. And at one point he was really good, and then he kind of like slid down the rankings, and now he's kind of coming back. And there's a mystique around that. Nobody knows who's offering him and who's not offering him because by and large, the way offers work is they're self-reported. So like when you go to like these websites and it's like these guys have been offered by these schools.
The schools told them,
Or no, the guys,
like the kids.
Recruiting, the recruiting guys will like text the kids and be like, "Who are you getting offers from?" And then they'll post it, you know. And obviously, the James family is playing this close to the vest. Bronny himself doesn't do any interviews. It's all a very confusing, very mysterious recruitment, and it's for those reasons it's the most fascinating recruitment because on top of having a very famous father who is one of the what do we call it, 3, 5, 7 best basketball. I don't compare eras, but I think he's better than Michael Jordan. I think he's the best player.
That's
ever.
how every single one of those conversations starts. I don't do eras.
I don't do I am above like the guys that argue about this stuff, but for me, he's by far better than Jordan. You know, a GOAT tier basketball player, and not only that, but he's still playing, Tate, which like adds another wrinkle of like interest because obviously there's the discussions of LeBron wanting to play in the NBA with his son, and like if whoever drafts his son, he'll go there. There's just a lot of stuff floating around, and it's hard to make sense of it. It's hard to care about like how much should I invest in like actually following this man, and like should we wait? And now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Paul Biancardi drops this report, I guess we want to call it, that there is, quote, there's a strong feeling that he will take the college route. And now all of a sudden, like this is becoming a discussion point that this could really happen, that Bronny James, who's like ranked like 43rd, the idea that the number 43 recruit in the class that he's in might go to college under any other circumstances would not send shockwaves through college basketball. This one does. And he apparently has 5 schools on his list, and those 5 schools are the 5 schools that anybody with no information whatsoever as to what LeBron and Bronny might have going on in their heads would have come up with.
Yeah, we would have come up with this stuff.
I would have literally I've never once talked to these people. I've never once asked Bronny how he's feeling, or I have 0 sources. And if you ask me the 5 schools he might go to, I would pick the 2 schools in Los Angeles that are power schools. I would pick the school that has ties to Nike, which is Oregon. That basically invented Nike. I would pick the school that is coached by Juwan Howard, who, as an aside, has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but did strike a man, just for the record.
But also coach LeBron for 3 seasons.
And like has a relationship with LeBron. But in the interest of fairness, he struck a man. And then the Ohio State Buckeyes, where LeBron famously was going to go. Has a locker. Yeah, and has a locker. He was going to go to Ohio State.
He has an active locker already in the locker room where theoretically Bronny could just use it.
But he changed his name to Bronny, so they're going to have to change the nameplate. They could have just added Junior, but now they got to take the whole thing down.
You got to take, damn.
But anyway, anybody could have come up with those 5 schools. So like, there's that part of this too, where it's like, on the one hand, this report, if you want to, I don't even know if report's the rumor, whatever it is. It provides a little more clarity because it gives us, it's like, oh, okay, so now let's like treat Bronny James like he's an actual college basketball recruit.
Yes.
Yeah, like let's take this seriously like he's a recruit. But then on the other hand, it just adds like more smoke and diversions and whatever, because like I don't know if this is actually telling us anything. I don't know if Paul Biancardi, who those of you listening don't know who Paul Biancardi is, he is, I'll give you the bio real quick. He is a man who works in basketball media who is from Boston. So like there's, that right there sets him apart in this,
distinguishing factor.
It's yes. So if you ever listen to the guy that loves Boston and he's from New England. I think he was on Boston College staff with Jim O'Brien. Jim O'Brien takes the job, leaves Boston College, goes to Ohio State, brings Scoonie Penn with him, brings Paul Biancardi with him. And Jim O'Brien is coaching at Ohio State at a time when LeBron James Sr. is bursting onto the high school scene in Akron at St. Vincent St. Mary's. So Paul Biancardi, I believe, was the guy who was recruiting, quote unquote, LeBron to Ohio State.
Yeah.
LeBron definitely would have gone to Ohio State. So I guess like maybe he's sourced, maybe there's like some sort of thing. But then also Paul Biancardi then takes a job at Wright State. Ohio State gets slapped with sanctions because they were paying some guys that Paul Biancardi was a part of. LeBron was getting Hummers. And free clothes.
Okay. Yes. Sounds like a good NIL deal to me.
Yes.
But
that's Paul Biancardi. And then so he gets out of coaching. He starts working for ESPN. And now he's like covering college
director
basketball,
of recruiting
at ESPN.
Yes.
And that's what he's been doing ever since then. So.
And from what I gather, I talked to someone that was at the Nike events, and the issue with Bronny's recruitment, I guess, the entire time was no one knew that he had interest in college basketball. So it was like the pretty girl that no one knew was single. And then the news spread that she actually is single and she actually thinks some of you guys are cool. And now all these guys, they're like, wait a second, drop everything and let's go run over there and try to woo her.
It's date Mike. Going back to the car to get I didn't know this was a date.
Exactly. I didn't know this was a date. Yeah. And it sounds like, from what I gather, is that LeBron James and the Nike LeBron James Jr. Bronny camp, instead of them getting the attention or whatever, they decided that we tell you who we want to come talk to us, right?
Yeah.
So these are the 5 that were like, you can reach out to us. And there was this kind of tug of war where a lot of teams that you would think Bronny would have interest in didn't have interest in him because, like you said, he was the top 70 recruit. He was averaging 7 points a game. He was, the 4th option on his high school team. So it didn't necessarily garner that Duke or Carolina or Kentucky or any of these teams would be all over him.
Right.
But now it's like he's trending upwards. He's averaging around 15 points per game, I think, in his little AAU run that he was just in. I think he was like 15.6 points per game. Everyone's saying how much better he looks, how more polished he looks.
Great highlight reels, by the way.
Great highlights.
Instagram clips.
And this
matters a lot to me.
And this was the first EYBL team that was his team, right? Bronny's always been supplemental to, Amari Bailey's team, or before that it was Zaire Williams' team, right? So he's always been kind of secondary. So this was his first primary showing. He plays well. These schools now know that they're the ones that have been picked. So, like, the recruitment had never started because everyone thought that it wasn't going to be a recruitment. So that's why it's so fascinating, because it's like, and it's kind of old school because it's his senior season. We thought that all this stuff would have played out by sophomore, junior. A lot of these things kind of get figured out early, but Bronny has waited to the end, which is very smart, and I think it's all marketing, and I think it's going to be a great senior ride where it's like, Bronny's feeling this team. If this team's playing well, Bronny's going to the game. Like, he's going to get a full year coverage. That's all him. And he's going to immediately go right into college after he commits. We're not going to have to wait around. Like Arch Manning, we're not going to have to do that. Or we have to wait one more year. It's like, no, Bronny's going to commit, and then he's going to be a freshman.
He's going to do like Imani Bates, where he waits till school started, and then...
Yeah, and he's like, and then we're like, are you enrolled in Memphis? And he's like, yeah, I am. Weirdly. Even though they weren't in my top 5. Penny Hardaway. He did it again. And he's driving a Hummer.
So the Ohio State part of this, I feel a little, I feel too close now that you're throwing Ohio State's name in this. It's a very real possibility, by the way, because there is a little bit of smoke. I'm not saying like Bronny might go to Ohio. I don't know. I don't know where like it's not just like Ohio State's not on the list just because LeBron says I definitely would have gone to Ohio State. Wink, wink. Believe me, everybody.
I think Ohio State is, if it's not number 1, it's number 2 on the list.
Ohio State. If Bronny James goes to college, Ohio State, I think, is very much in the mix.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean I think we're the favorites, not. But I'm curious how I should feel about this tape, because I got to be honest, it feels like too much of a distraction. It feels like I don't want. I don't know if I want this. He's good. Like, from what I said, I've seen the Instagram clips. Like Bronny can play, I think. And I would invite that. I don't know if I need LeBron coming to the games, like showing up like 5 minutes after they tip off and like clearing people out of the way, and like they stop the game so you can like walk across the court and like sit.
And he's sitting on the bench next to Chris Holtmann.
He's got sunglasses on. Yeah, he's like next to Chris Holtmann and sunglasses and like chains, and it's like, drawing all the attention to himself. And then, people, we're talking about how he's drawing attention to himself, and then people are yelling at us saying all he's doing is sitting there, and we're like, yeah, but he's, I don't want that whole, then I'm going crazy. It's like he knows what he's doing. I don't want that for my basketball program, but at the same time, I do also understand that it would be great. It would be a huge win in the PR game, and also I do think Bronny's going to be a good basketball player, and I think that would be cool to have him in the fold. So I don't know where I land with all that.
I think where you land is where you land. You land in the camp of we have to get Bronny James. This is almost like all resources are going to the Bronny James recruitment right now. And if I'm Chris Holtman, I'm saying to myself, if we lock in Bronny James and we bring LeBron back into the fold, and we basically co-opt LeBron as Ohio State. One, not only it's similar to kind of like the Lonzo Ball, where it's like if we get Bronny, then we could get Bryce, and then we get the whole entire James family in Ohio State. He already loves Ohio State football. He already has a locker. He didn't go to college, so he basically is a free agent, and he can saddle up with any college he wants to. If I'm Ohio State, this is everything. Yeah. And if we can lock in Bronny and we can lock in LeBron to Ohio, then in general, I think that Cleveland now comes back in the picture again for LeBron. Because LeBron right now is giving the stiff arm to the Lakers. He's like, I don't like how they're run. I don't have a say anymore. They're choosing Pelinka over me. I don't have any talent around me.
Who did this?
Who put me in this position? Screaming. And I think like it would open up a whole window to LeBron kind of being able to coast into what he thinks is an opportunity to own the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because I think they could open the door back up. Adam Silver, as we know, he's LeBron's, he does what LeBron wants. So I think there's a world in which LeBron...
This is a great...
He goes minority ownership of the Cavaliers. Dan, is trying to get out of the Cavs. He wants to, get back to Michigan where all his businesses are. LeBron James is minority owner. Bronny James at Ohio State. Bryce is about to go to Ohio State. Bronny can stay 3 years at Ohio State because the reason is not because he's not good enough to go to the NBA. No. He wants to play with Bryce. This is a family affair. Dude. We want to go to Ohio State. We want to be an Ohio family. We want to get the love that we've always deserved because we brought Ohio the championship that they deserved.
I'm almost there.
If I'm Nike, if I'm LeBron James, this is no question. We'll look at other schools, but we're going to Ohio State.
Let's go.
That's it. That is the ultimate brand play because LeBron James wants fans. He wants love. These Buckeyes, they're going to love him forever. Even if Bronny doesn't win anything, he still picked Ohio State above everybody else that he could have gone to. Over Duke, over Carolina, over UCLA, over USC. He wanted to play at Ohio State. He wanted to be in Columbus. Are you kidding me? That gets everybody fired up. And if you're LeBron, now you're a real Ohio State football fan. You're not a fake fan anymore.
Not a fake fan.
Now you're a real fan.
Now there's nothing guys like me can say. I can't roll my eyes on
nothing.
LeBron.
And we love LeBron forever. Ohio State fans are like, we love LeBron.
We're back in.
We're back in.
Because I got very much out on LeBron when he left Cleveland for
This
LA.
is his way back in.
Cleveland for Miami, it made a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
And, you hated it, but at the same time, you're like, I don't know. I guess I see the bigger picture here. Cleveland for LA was a stab in the back. I thought that was a bigger stab in the back because this was a man who came back to Cleveland and said, I'm going back home. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, so this is where you're going to finish out your days.
yeah, that's home.
Like, I'm coming back home for this contract and then I'm leaving. You're like, wait a second. So I think, dude, you connected a lot of dots. I think all this makes a lot of sense. This is a great way to...
I don't know why I call Dan Gilbert Dan like I know him, but, Dan Gilbert...
Dude, the Dan Gilbert part of it makes a ton of sense, too, because, that's a good way to bury that hatchet. The Dan Gilbert, the first Comic Sans situation, because even when LeBron came back to play in Cleveland, there was still,
they still didn't like each other.
Still don't like each other.
And I think
if Dan Gilbert just sells the team to LeBron, that's burying the hatchet. And we all just shake hands and say,
and he gets what he wants.
Yeah, everybody gets what they want.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
And LeBron's first player owner.
Dude. Yeah, and then he drafts his sons and sinks the franchise.
Exactly.
He does.
And Evan Mobley demands a trade because he's like, I don't want to play on this franchise. Get me out of here.
He does what Jordan does, but he does it with Michigan and Ohio State players.
Yeah.
And he just loads up on.
Yeah. The Jerry Stackhouses and Antoine Jamesons of the world. Yeah. It's gonna be great. I would say this: if I'm Nike and I have to sell LeBron merchandise moving forward, even without him playing basketball, this is the smartest play for LeBron James merchandising moving forward. Because at the time when he left to go to LA, he was thinking to himself, who are the most gullible casual sports fans that will immediately jump on and be fans of me?
Yeah.
The Lakers
The
or
Lakers.
the Cowboys, one or the other. You know, that's what he's thinking to himself. He can't go play for the Cowboys, even though he probably called Jerry Jones. He goes to the Lakers. Unfortunately, those Lakers fans that were supposed to just love him, he gets him a title, but it's a caveat because he doesn't actually win in LA.
And also Kobe died, and everyone was just kind of like, dude,
we're Kobe
you're not
people.
Kobe.
We're Kobe fans. We're Laker Kobe fans. So LeBron, that adoration he thought he was going to get for free wasn't there. So I think that leads even more to like, I need to go back to Ohio and get my fans.
Dude,
Ohio State, number 1 on the list. And if Nike doesn't see it, they don't get it. That's all I got to say.
I love it.
And Chris Holtman, we got your back. I'm fighting for Chris Holtman to get Bronny.
Okay, so one concern. You've talked me into wanting this, number one. But I don't know what the scholarship situation is because the 2023 class is loaded. But that helps because it's like we have a loaded class.
Welcome to the transfer portal.
But we figured out transfer portal. We just push guys into the portal. We that's a Tom Crean special. He's done that.
Or a guy like Seth Towns. You're like, you've had 7 years, dude.
Yeah,
Give up your spot.
Seth, I hate to tell you, man. Year 8, it's not happening.
Year 8's not happening.
Yeah.
Bronny's coming.
Yeah. I like it. There is one more contender though that we haven't even talked about.
Ooh.
And as I said, he is Big Ten Bronny. That's what we were learning from.
I think he does like the Big Ten. Yeah.
Steven Izzo puts a picture on his Instagram of LeBron James with the Izzo family. And that is an eye emoji situation if I've ever seen one because
tampering.
Because the first thought is like Bronny is going to be like maybe Michigan State's in the mix for Bronny, but then I went Galaxy brain with it and I was like, no, I think like the B and Cardi list was right. Michigan State's not in the mix for Bronny. This is Bryce. Izzo's laying the groundwork for Bryce.
Yeah.
And is seeing the bigger picture here because Bryce I think might be better.
Bryce
Interesting.
is better. Bryce is a better prospect. I don't know if he's a better player.
So apparently LeBron, the story goes that I saw too that LeBron apparently loves Xavier Booker, who is this 5-star commit that he's about to go to Michigan State from Indy, goes to Cathedral High School in Indy. My Indy people told me that he is quote that dude.
Oh, he's him.
We have to throw that in the mix of him and the dog in him and all
dude.
that. One of them ones. He's that dude. He's a kid that like is a late bloomer, but like he's blooming fast. There's a big bloom going on.
You should have gone to Bloomington.
Yeah.
Coach Titus is like, that's what I like to hear.
My dad's gonna text me about that. He's gonna I love that joke from Tate. He's a big bloomer. But apparently LeBron loves him because I'm sure his son has played with him on the circuit. I don't know. I'm sure they've seen each other in the AAU circuit.
People forget LeBron James runs an agency, so he's recruiting kids for Clutch.
So Michigan State might be in the mix, and I think honestly, and this is our last thought, and we can get the shout out to get the hell out of here. My last thought on the matter is that is a great full circle. If it can't be Ohio State, and I don't want it to be Michigan because Michigan will rub it in Ohio State's face and they'll own LeBron and then like it's just like a whole and like they can kind of have LeBron but also at the same time it's a messy situation.
If I was LeBron, I would call Juwan Howard and I would say, first, don't hit me, but I have some bad news for you. For my brand, my son cannot go play at a Jordan school.
Whoa, I got an idea.
He can't go to a Jordan school. He can't
go
to a Jordan school. Are you kidding? And he can't go to the rival of the team I've been pulling for in football.
What if?
Get out of here.
What if the conspiracy is he calls Juwan and he says, "I'm going to send my son to Ohio State, so that way when you play Ohio State, you can in the handshake line dap him up, give him big hugs, talk about what a great young man he is, all of that.
Yes.
And then the media will go bonkers saying
Juwan Howard,
how
best
much
coach
class
in basketball.
he has because he
how could you not want to play for him?
Yeah, because like he's so kind to his rival, the players of the rival schools, and everybody wins.
Yeah.
What about that?
I like that a lot.
But if it can't be Ohio State, I have nothing against the other schools, but I do think I want it to be Michigan State because I think the full circle thing of Michigan State not being in the mix for a highly touted, famous recruit, the guy that's the greatest, the most notable recruit since LeBron, not being in the mix at all, and then at the very last second getting him nonetheless. I think that's a nice full circle thing with the Amani Bates situation.
Yeah.
And then Bronny turns out to be like actually very good, and Amani sucked. And Tom Izzo, who by the way, like every other day is landing a 4 or 5 star recruit right now.
Yeah.
Tom Izzo gets vindication and is just like, suck it, everybody.
And Tom Izzo, we were talking about that void, right? The content void. Tom Izzo's not a content guy, but he's kind of low-key the king of college basketball. You know what I mean? Like Mark Few.
Kind of is now, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Without Mr. K, without Jay Wright, without Roy
Bill
Williams.
Self, maybe?
Bill Self can't be. He's got 5 level 1 violations. Like,
that's true.
These are the facts. Like, you just can't beat.
Jim Boeheim, I mean, like.
Mark Few had the incident earlier before last season. You know what I mean? Like, Tom Izzo is almost Teflon in these streets, and he also coached one of the most memorable teams that even if you don't even know about college basketball, you know about the Flintstones and their story. And obviously what Tom Izzo could package. And then with the only thing that worries me about Michigan State is Magic Johnson. I feel like Magic Johnson is a wrinkle that would actually not want LeBron James there, which is kind of crazy. But I think that actually could be a conversation where like Izzo's like, I'm good with Bronny coming, but I got to clear this with Magic.
That's a great.
But Magic's a nice enough guy. I think he'd be like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, Michigan's got the Jordan ties.
Can't be
has
Michigan.
The Magic ties.
Yeah.
Ohio State, I mean.
Ohio State is the choice. There's no doubt about it. It aligns with the brand. It makes so much sense. And when I was a kid or like coming up, you know, when LeBron was getting up, I mean, I liked LeBron a lot, but I was like, why is this guy wearing 23? Why is Ohio saying they're the birthplace of aviation? We're first in flight and we have 23, you know? But now he can go to Ohio and say, no, I'm actually that guy. I'm him.
I'm him.
I'm Ohio. I am flight.
I like it. You've talked me into it.
It would not be good for me and my branding, but I'm just saying.
Malachi Branham, by the way, who just left Ohio State, played at LeBron's high school. St. Vincent St. Mary. I don't know how much that matters, but
it matters.
Maybe that's something. I don't know.
And Chris Holtmann is like the perfect coach, I think, as far as the way that he carries himself for LeBron and them not to be threatened, right? Like, I think there's a certain level where LeBron and these guys don't want to send Bronny to Mick Cronin. Because Mick Cronin is going to make Bronny.
Chris Holtmann's a good middle ground between Juwan Howard, Penny Hardaway, John Calipari.
Yes.
Like that mold of you know, winning the PR battles and the recruiting stuff and all that. And then also the Mick Cronin, who's like, I'm purposely bringing in 5 stars so I can kick their ass.
Yeah, so I can actually coach these kids. Yeah. Mick Cronin's like, I'm going to personally solve this problem in American basketball by making these kids run hills with me.
I like it.
USC is a sleeper, by the way.
USC is always a sleeper. Dude.
USC is the one where I think I wake up one day and it's like LeBron James Jr., Bronny James commits to USC, and Andy Enfield doesn't even do a press conference, doesn't even show his face.
We weren't even recruiting him.
He's like, I didn't even give this guy an offer.
He's like,
He's like, I'm trying to find.
I'm still recruiting the Bagley kids. I'm still like offering. I'm still going down the Bagley family tree. I didn't even get to the LeBron tree.
I'm with cousins of the Bagleys.
No, that's a tale as old as time. Is rich famous kids in LA going to USC.
Yeah,
and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah, disappointing their parents. That's not being. Yeah, not. Oh my God! All right, let's. Is that it? Let's do some shout outs, closeouts. Yeah, let's do some shout outs, closeouts. I want to shout out preseason football that is happening all around us, and particularly a QB battle that I am keeping eyes on. And I feel like since I have a platform, you know, that's the thing these days. People are like, you got a platform, you got to speak on something. Since I have a platform, I want to speak on this. Mitchell Trubisky is the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care how many preseason touchdowns Kenny Smallhands Pickett throws. He's not the quarterback. The fans in Pittsburgh, the fact they don't get that, the fact they're cheering for Kenny Pickett.
Well, he's a Pitt guy, right? So shut
up.
I know.
Shut up.
I know.
Mitchell Trubisky's your quarterback. Enjoy it. He's going to win the division for you. I don't know about that, but regardless, I'm using my platform to say there is a starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. Stop with all this controversy and stop trying to get Mitchell out there because he has earned that position. He's earned that starting job.
I like that.
Sorry. That was my shout out.
Is Baker Mayfield starting for the Panthers?
I hope so. Because you know what I like about Baker? And I will say this. Baker is coaching up Matt Corral. And Matt Corral, obviously, is a third-round pick guy they brought in to be a potential future quarterback. But, like, Baker Mayfield is competing against Sam Derp Darnold, you know what I mean, who can't even explain what he's doing out there.
He played at a basketball school.
He played at a basketball school, doesn't understand the game.
Right.
And Baker Mayfield's over there trying to coach up Matt Corral because – I mean, maybe it's for the cameras. Maybe that's what Baker's doing. But for me, it won me over enough to say, hey, that guy has the intangibles that I like. He's our starting quarterback. But again, these are the South Carolina Panthers. I don't care.
The South Carolina.
I don't care about the South Carolina Panthers.
Until they're good. And then they're the
North Carolina Panthers. Yeah.
So someone on Twitter asked me the other day, they're just like, you're a Colts fan, right? And I without giving it any thought whatsoever, because it's very true, I just replied, only when they're good.
Yes,
that's
when
it.
Peyton Manning's a quarterback.
I went to the a mutual friend of ours, I was with, and he was I was talking football with him, and he asked me who I cheer for, and I was like, it's pretty complicated, dude. But it's basically like I have like 5 teams, and whichever one's good, I go in on that team.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
I have 2 teams. I have the North Carolina Panthers, and I have the Los Angeles Chargers.
So I get both LA teams because I live in LA.
Here. Yeah, that's
I
nice.
do think that works. Like if you live in a city with a football team,
yes,
you're allowed to cheer for them.
I agree.
I think that's fair.
I was fine like when the Rams won the Super Bowl.
I came up with that theory as the Rams were winning the Super Bowl. I was like,
same.
Those are my.
Yeah, I was like, we share a stadium.
I think if you, the city you grew up in counts. So like I wasn't even a Colts fan growing up, but like now I should be. I can retroactively say I'm a Colts fan because I grew up in Indiana. And then what else, Tate? There's like there's got to be another.
There's always one team that you like because of a player. Like for me, like we grew up loving the Jets because
you get one player.
Broadway
team.
Joe,
you know, get one player. Team.
Yeah. You get 3 teams. You get 3 teams.
So I get the Bears because I love Justin Fields, but I don't really want the Bears.
Let me say, I watched the Bears preseason game, and Justin Fields. It was like all signs are pointing to this is going to be bad, and then he had a miracle throw to the sideline, and
really?
Sharp, the guy came from the Falcons, like in the offseason, made this amazing catch, and I could see like the pure like hate behind his eyes or sadness, whatever it was in Justin Fields. It felt like it shot up, and then he ran for a first down the next play, and I was like, Justin Fields, you got to get out of Chicago because that's where quarterbacks go to die.
Yeah.
But at least I saw a spark.
Justin Fields is going to like have the next few years. He's going to be terrible, obviously, and the Bears are going to be terrible. And then at some point, the Bears are going to say
it's his fault.
It's his fault.
Yeah,
they're going to get rid of him. He's going to like
go to the Jaguars and be
the
great.
Jaguars or the Dolphins. The Jaguars, he's still going to suck. But like. Go to like the Texans or something.
There you go. Texans is good.
And then he's going to lead them to the playoffs every year, and they're going to lose in the first or second round.
Yeah. And people are going to say bust.
Bust, yeah. You're like, I don't know, man.
It's like Trubisky right now. People are like, dude's a bust. It's like he's the starting quarterback on the Steelers.
No, I love football so much because it's the quarterback discussion. There are, I've said this point before, but there any given year, there are like 4 good quarterbacks. If you listen to media and fans and everything, there's like 4 good.
And it's been the same 4 ones like until Breeze just left, you know. But it was
and
basically like Rodgers, Brady, Breeze. Yeah.
Everybody else is dog shit and is like not good enough to win a Super Bowl, and for that reason he sucks and get him out of here. And it's like, aren't there like 32 franchises? Don't some of these guys have to start at quarterback? Like, no, not the answer. Get him out of here. We should get one of those 4.
Look at Stafford. I mean, Stafford won the Super Bowl last year, and because so many people have said he's actually not good over the past 10 years while he's in Detroit, they won't change their opinion.
Yeah.
I keep seeing these top 10 quarterback lists, and Matt Stafford's like number 10 or number 9, and then there's like Trey Lance is in front of him. I'm like, what?
Mac Jones is at 4.
Mac Jones at 5. I'm like, the guy just won a Super Bowl and was throwing no-look passes. Like, I mean, the guy's like literally looking off safeties and throwing it the other way. We see it on tape. Pat Mahomes.
Like Bob Cousy.
Yeah.
He looks like Bob Cousy.
He looks like freaking Cousy out there. And Patrick Mahomes does it one time. People lose their minds. They're like, he's the GOAT. And then Matt Stafford's in the Super Bowl doing it. People are like, yeah, I mean, a lot of guys with that team, a lot of guys could have done it.
Patrick Mahomes, here's a meme. I'm gonna say meme out loud is the Joker meme. Patrick Mahomes throws an underhand pass with one hand. Everyone loses their minds.
Yeah.
Wait, how does it go? You do the first one, they don't lose their minds. I don't know. Whatever. Bob Cousy did it in 1958.
And people call him a plumber.
Explain that to her. I have a few shout-outs. I have a few Indiana-related shout-outs.
Please.
So there's huge news in the city of Indianapolis that IUPUI is ditching the PU. Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, the alma mater of George Hill.
Yeah.
Is no longer going to be PU, the PU part of it. The Purdue part, there's a divorce that's happening between Indiana and Purdue. The rivalry is back. I think Rob Finney is to blame that Indiana and Purdue.
Yeah, Finney had that game, and then Purdue's like, we're done helping these guys.
We're done helping these guys.
Yeah.
So Purdue is out. Purdue's out of the IUPUI business.
And George Hill's career is kind of created.
Yeah.
They're like, we tried to create a point guard for the Pacers.
Yeah, exactly.
We did our best.
That's what if you go to IUPUI's website and you're like, what kind of university is this? You guys like do like research? Are you like white? Are you like agriculture? Like what is it that you guys are? Because Indiana's a little more white collar, like IU. It's a little more business and whatever. Purdue's like agriculture and engineering and stuff. Yeah. Like so, what is IUPUI? And it's like we came together to create George Hill.
We created an AI character. His name is George Hill. He was supposed to lead the Pacers to 3 titles.
It's the only reason we existed. But it's no more, Tate. So it's the end of an era. I don't know what the like basketball. I mean, I think Indiana gets to keep the basketball team, the IU part of it, because like Purdue is starting another school. My understanding is like Purdue's branching off and doing like their own thing in Indy. So there's going to be like 2 satellite type campuses of IU Indy. It's like IU
Indy and PU Indy.
PU Indy. Yeah.
Honestly, PU Indy does not have a nice ring to it. And in fact, in IU PUI, like PU was the heart, like the part that was really hurting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
IUI.
And
it's all right.
So my mother, I found this out. My mother, who is a Purdue grad, as we know,
Laura Legend,
is a legend. She actually went to IUPUI to get her master's, and you know, she was the teacher forever and got her master's in education at IUPUI. I asked her about this. She said that she was swindled. She thought when she went to get her master's, she was getting a Purdue master's. In fact, on the day of graduation, they gave her the diploma and it says Indiana University at the top, because like when you go to IUPUI, you pick your programs. Like you say like, put me on this track.
Put me in the PU or put me in IU.
And then you basically get an IU or a Purdue degree. She thought she was getting a Purdue master's because she's a boiler through and through.
Yeah.
She found out she was getting an IU thing. She has rationalized it all this time that she has a degree from IUPUI, like technically from Indiana. She's like, well, it's kind of a Purdue school too. Like it was, you know, they're in it together. So now she's in a state of disarray, Tate, because Purdue is pulled out, and my mother has no way of like explaining that like she.
Maybe she tells people now that she didn't get her master's.
Yeah, she's like, goes back.
People were like, you're in the system that you got it. She's like, I did not.
She's like, I will revoke my master's.
I will not acknowledge.
I disavow.
She's the first person to go back and turn it back in and say, you guys can have it.
She sends like
money back now, please.
All the pay bumps she got as a teacher for having a master's, she sends it back to the school corporation. She's like, give me the bachelor's
money.
I want the bachelor's money, not the master's money. So anyway, there's that. And then the other news in the Indiana and Purdue and all that world. This blew my mind. This is gonna blow. This is insane. I read it 20 times. I still couldn't believe it. Millie Bobby Brown, who is the Stranger Things girl, right? She is apparently has enrolled at Purdue University, Tate, to study, quote, human services. This according to like the New York Post or something. Like I checked it like 5 different times. Like there's no, I'm getting ball sacked right now. There's no way this is true. It's apparently true that Millie Bobby Brown has enrolled. And if you made a list of,
it's the top story. I literally just Googled Millie Bobby Brown, and the top story says Millie Bobby Brown is enrolled at Purdue University. This is the Big Ten stat of the year.
I fell out of my chair. I was like, you could not, if you asked me to make a list of people least likely to ever set foot on Purdue, and to be fair, she's taking online classes, but so
she's not going to West Lafayette.
No, she's not going to be in the paper.
Will she ever go to West Lafayette? That is.
Will she ever do kegs and eggs as they do at the football tailgates? Will she ever?
This is the first thing from Millie Bobby Brown that I like. You know what I mean? Like this is a good move.
If she graduates, do you think she's the most famous alum of all time in the history of Purdue University?
Did she walk on the moon?
Did Neil Armstrong go to Purdue? Is that true? To Google that.
Just Google it.
No, it's huge for Purdue, I will say, but like I'm getting a little Brian Windhorst with this.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
why?
Yeah. Why would she do that? Why? And the only thing I can come up with, the only thing that makes any sense is that Purdue is a cult. I mean, like I've sniffed around it. I've been circling it my whole life.
Yeah.
There's been something off about Purdue the entire time I've been, like, even as I live in LA, I walk around, I'm like, there are way too many Purdue people out here. Like, who are these people? Where are they?
Yeah, that is true. I went to a bar one time and there was a Purdue basketball game on, and they were like, this is a Purdue bar.
I was like, there's no Purdue bars. What is this?
Here.
You see people wearing Purdue shirts and Purdue. It's like that doesn't compute. I've been trying to like put my finger on it for a while. I think it's finally clear to me like what's going on. There's, first of all, you go through the checklist, Tate. Purdue was a school started by a guy who was a bachelor.
Yeah.
A single guy. He had no wife, no kids, no anything. He was just like, everybody come give me your money and worship me, right?
Yeah.
A little weird.
Also,
like, what's the number one thing when you're starting a cult that you have to do is convince everybody you're not a cult. And a good way to do that is to start a state school. Mm-hmm. So then like everyone's like, this is a public school, but you have like a private school feel to it, which is like, it's basically Purdue and Clemson are the only 2 schools that have done this, where you're a state school, but you're named after a guy.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't compute.
Yeah, it's like, how did the state and this guy come on this deal?
Because it's a smoke screen. It's like, we're not a cult, we promise.
I always thought Purdue was Wake Forest equivalent. I thought it was like a Baptist type private school. Yeah.
They have the Day of Giving, which is basically just like, give us all your money, which is like
red flag.
Yeah, which is some Jim Jones, Jonestown.
Yeah.
Bhagwan shit.
A lot of energy there.
Yeah, a lot of energy. Just everybody, if you really love us, you'll give us the money. Show us by giving us money.
Tithes and offering.
They have a disproportionate number of dudes that are really into Purdue, which is like kind of a cult vibe. Like, just like, you're looking around, you go to campus, you look around, you're like, is this thing 81% dudes? And they're like, yeah. Is that weird? You're like, it's kind of weird, dude. Like, for a school, you should have more. There should be more diversity, and that's weird. They have ties to lizard people / aliens by, as you said, Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
So like they have all these astronauts that go to space and they do deals with the lizard people up on the moon. And now they have ties to the Hollywood elites.
Yeah.
With Millie Bobby Brown, Jim Gaffigan went to Purdue.
Yeah.
Classic Hollywood elite, that guy.
Yeah. Dave Letterman's from Indiana, so close enough.
So I'm connecting the dots. Their mascot is like, Purdue Pete is basically the Tom Cruise of Purdue, where it's like he's dead behind the eyes. Like,
people are protecting him. Yeah.
Yeah, the famous face of
the cult. Putting him out there.
Yeah.
Until he goes to McDonald's late at night, drunk.
The famous face of your cult is just like, everyone can see he's dead behind the eyes, but also like, no one within the organization wants to admit that he's dead behind the eyes. It's just, there's just a lot of red flags, and I think it became clear to me. Millie Bobby Brown going to Purdue, I'm like, there's something going on there. Why would she do that? That's
why would she? I like that. My one point that I think because Millie Bobby Brown is in such a bubble, right? Like, obviously, the big star, been a kid, we know child actors obviously go through. We understand that. And in the show, Hawkins, Indiana, in the show we see Purdue garb. In the show, I think she maybe only heard of one university that exists, and it's called Purdue.
Is this a bit?
She only knows one school that exists. She's like, I want to go to uni, which is what like kids say there. But like, I want to go to uni, and then everyone's like, well, where do you want to go to uni? And she's like, well, the only place I've ever heard of is Purdue because it's in Indiana.
It's a bit.
And I think it's a way, just like I was saying for LeBron to own Ohio, Millie Bobby Brown is about to own Indiana.
If Millie Bobby
Brown said David Letterman is he's walking out of the game. It's my time to take over.
I'm going to
say
this: if Millie Bobby Brown waves the green flag at the Indy 500,
it's the British invasion.
It's the British invasion.
It's the Beatles all over again.
Yeah,
you better keep your head on the swivel. You're going to lose Indiana.
Well, that is absolutely that's one of the more shocking headlines I've ever seen in my life.
That blew my mind.
Millie Bobby Brown enrolling at Purdue.
I have no more shout-outs because that is the most shocking thing I think I've heard in at least a year.
It's huge news for Indiana University, though, because that means Millie Bobby Brown is going to be on IU's campus all the time, because everyone knows that the number one thing that Purdue students do is when they want to go party, they just go down to Bloomington.
Yeah.
Hang out at IU. So she's going to be hanging out at IU a lot. So that's cool. You'll see here a lot of tabloid shots of her at IU, I guess.
Yeah.
That's good for Mike Woodson.
In my head, I see like Jesse Eisenberg and Millie Bobby Brown hanging out in Bloomington, drinking a beer. Be nice.
All right. Is there anything else, Jim? You got any shout-outs? You were quiet this show. You didn't say anything.
You're asleep?
You're just like
No, I got nothing for you.
I got nothing for you.
Dude, let's keep it that way, man. Let's see how many shows we can do in a row where Jim's got nothing for us.
I did like that Jim, I will say this. Shout out to Jim for coming last show when we did the Woodstock thing. He came with the facts. I like that we had some things
notes were
Googled.
great,
the notes were great, Jim. There was a lot of people that really appreciated it.
No, I was regurgitating a lot. I was like talking to people. I was like, do you know Korn fans don't they hate every band that's not Korn?
Yeah.
I was saying that to a lot of people.
And I did see that it seems like the popular culture, right? It seems like the Woodstock doc is now hitting with people. I see like tweets and things. Like Tommy Alter tweeted about the Korn fans the other night, and I was like, wow. Yeah. Woodstock 99.
Hat tip, Titus and Tate, Tommy. Come on. Goddamn credit.
Yeah. Give us some credit.
Oh, final shout out. Shout out to Tony Bennett and Bennett Ball. It's back. I don't know if you saw this one, Tate. Virginia was up 40-10 at halftime on an Italian team.
Love that.
They were up 40-10.
Yeah.
He brought the Tony across the pond. Took it to Italy.
Took it to another level, really.
How do you say what? Il? What's the in Italian? I don't speak Italian.
I don't either.
It's
Buongiorno.
Like Il Antonio.
There you go. That sounded perfect.
Yeah. They won 76-24. So pack line defense is back.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers of the ACC. The grinder's coming for you.
Yeah, Tony B. I'm okay with Tony Bennett. Being the face of the ACC. I'm okay with that. I'm Team Tony.
And also, Tony Bennett held an Italian team to 10 points, but at the same time, your European players are better than college players. So let's keep that as we're watching all of these college teams go beat the shit out of all the European teams. Let's also
remember
Luka
that the
Doncic
European players are better. Is better than all of them.
They're definitely better.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though the college team beat the dream team, and then the dream team goes overseas and just destroyed everybody.
Yeah.
But also you're telling me okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
You get it. You get it.
All right, that's it. That's the show. We'll see you guys Friday, right?
Yep.
No. Thursday.
We'll see you Thursday.
Thursday. We're bumping it up.
Yeah. We're gonna record on Wednesday for the people at home. So we're gonna have some good email. I saw some emails. I didn't.
We got some emails.
We got some new ones.
Yeah, send some emails in. TitusandTate@gmail.com. We will read through them for Thursday. We'll see you guys then.